here with.
Valentina Ayala.
Yes, and you are definitely covering the market scene, but also you have your brand, and I'm sure you have many, many hats. So tell us what about you? What's your brand and everything?
My brand right now is pretty much vintage pieces. Most of them I upcycle. That's one of my more niche designs right now is upcycling things that I've thrifted in the past or that's been hand down to me. A lot of my pieces come from like adventures, going out of town is one of my favorite things to do. Thrifting in different states and
Wow.
cities is one of my more fun hobbies that I like to do. But with all that said, I do have a lot of accumulation of a lot of material, and it ultimately comes down to what I'm trying to design at the moment.
Nice.
So I kind of can go back to the archive, if you will.
Mhm.
That's fun. But aside from that, I do dabble in design. So accessory design is one I like to do. I've been designing handbags, let's say for about, let's say 5 years.
Mhm.
Whereas vintage and going to markets, selling at markets and whatnot, I started off selling vintage and upcycle. That was probably 2015,
Oh
I'd say
wow.
2014.
Oh my God, so
Yeah,
like 10 years.
yeah, it's been around 10 years, and I didn't even
Wow.
realize until today that it doesn't seem like 10 years. It seems like
What?
I still have yet to crack down on what my signature is. I do like to dabble in different colors and different mediums. So, as an artist, it does get a little tricky um, prioritizing your time
I get
and
that.
putting it into what you want at the moment. Sometimes it changes,
Right.
and you have to ask yourself: Is this a change? Is this a shift in who I am as an artist, or am I being distracted by something else that sounds like fun? So going back and forth with yourself is really important. I'd say the artists that I look up to a lot have stuck with one thing and kept it going, and obviously evolved. But yeah, so that's something that I try to check myself in once in a while.
Okay, okay. I love that. So I was thinking, so for as you know, you've been in the scene, you know it not only just to be in the vintage scene, but also as an artist. Do you have any like remarks in the sense of like how Miami has changed throughout this time, like within the whole vintage scene, like how has it changed?
It's changed so much since I was even inspired before I got into anything. I remember going to Wynwood, um, let's say 2012, 2013. It was so fruitful. It was very underground. But what was great is the different shops did give a voice to the local artists a lot more than I see now. Whereas when I started, the markets were all throughout the streets. It was very fun. It was fun to walk around, seeing the galleries that were open on that night, just showcasing their local art and international art. It was very fun. I'd say what changed probably changed around 2017
Mhm.
to 2000, let's say, till even after COVID. Um, it's changed in the sense of commercial. There's a lot
Right.
of franchises there, whereas before it was known to have local companies and businesses and artists alike. There still is a feel for local owners, but not as much as it used to, and that has translated into the markets that are available. I feel like the markets now, there is a lot of great markets, but they're not in Wynwood per se. They're throughout Miami.
Right.
So in a sense, it did open the door for other little micro cities in Miami to thrive because it
Mhm.
gave them an opportunity to explore different areas in Miami.
Right.
So in a sense, playing devil's advocate, everything has to evolve whether we want to or not,
Right.
as far as how we see it evolving in front of us. But I will say from my experience doing events in 2014 in Wynwood, it was always in Wynwood. It was always events throughout the season,
Right.
in Miami. Uh, but for for pricing and how much they will charge you, it has gone up tremendously, and I think it is due to the fact that Miami is a tourist hub, and a lot of the times they're basing it off of that, not about the locals that
Right.
usually keep it going throughout the summertime, throughout the slow seasons when all the snowbirds are up north.
Right. So, Miami has changed a lot. We touched base on that. How do we keep up as locals, and then also within the scene of vintage and art, how do we keep up with the changes that Miami is growing?
So I feel like it's important to put money where you see it fit the most. A place that you feel comfortable in,
Right.
a place that you know that the owners are just like you, someone that's been here, that's grown up here, or that shares the same values.
Right.
It's not about different people coming in. It's about keeping the same values that Miami holds, which is aside from being chaotic, crazy, and unpredictable, it does have a lot of family values.
That's
It
right.
does have a lot of values where you could see a grandma or a grandfather on the street and relate to them, knowing that they you see your grandparents in them. You
Yes.
know, keeping that chivalry alive just by respecting your elders. I think that's a problem throughout the whole world right now,
Hmm.
is just respecting others. But as far as how it's like affected Miami, I feel like it's important for people our age right now to put ideas back into the city,
Hmm.
because the people that we grew up watching or that we were inspired by, they're already either retired or you know um, growing with a family, trying to expand their own thing that they've
Right.
accomplished, they've built. It's time for like people right now that are still inspired to
Hmm.
keep it going.
That's true.
I think people coming in from all over the world is still inspiring because that's how Miami was built, off of like the land of opportunity,
Right.
similar to New York. However, Miami is its own place.
Hmm.
I feel like it's like an island off of the south of Florida. Um, but it shows in the food we have. It shows in the the unity you could see on the streets if you're open to it.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of the times where I have meaningful experiences or stories has to be when I've been open to just smiling to the person next to me, or opening the door, keeping it open for them.
Yeah.
If you see an old person carrying something, offer them help. Don't just assume they need help,
Right.
because they're gonna call you out as well, like
That's
like our
Miami.
grandma would do.
Like they would. So we touched on that. What are some, goals that you have as the city is changing? What are some things that you want to accomplish that you're working on?
So right now I'm open to just gaining more knowledge. I've been dabbling into marketing. I want to get back into designing. But as far as that in correlation to Miami, I'm so excited because Miami is such a hub for it's a growing city. It always has been, but it's always been a staple when it comes to fashion, when it comes to business, when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's very fruitful in that sense. So it's exciting to see how it's gonna go, and hopefully the housing market goes down a little bit so the natives and the locals are able to stay
Right.
in and continue to grow with the city. And I don't know, I'm excited about it. I just feel like right now I want to continue to be inspired.
Continue to be
You know,
inspired.
being an adult and staying in that essence, you have to prioritize responsibility with creativity. And if you can do both and make money off of being creative, that's like the ultimate goal. Not just from people in Miami, but like the American dream
Got it.
is doing that. So um, I just hope that people that are here will be open to community involvement and being just being open to finding the good in people right now because the world is a little shaky.
Yeah, no,
Just be
definitely
open to
community is a
yeah,
big part of it because even though like the Miami like natives kind of personality is kind of like a little sassy
very
sometimes, a
sassy.
little sassy, but that doesn't take away the fact that we're there for each other. And I think that's like a big part of not just the whole Miami thing, but the new people coming to Miami can really understand that we're not putting them off. We need to all come together and kind of understand that we're all in this together. Miami is changing so fast. And so from there I want to see like what you think about like the future of Miami. How do you feel about the future of
I
Miami?
feel the future of Miami is that the suburbs and and the downtown area, the east side and the west side, we might merge and come
Mm-hmm.
together. I feel like right now there's a lot of cool places that are popping up in Kendall, even in Homestead,
Mm-hmm.
Hialeah, um, everywhere.
Everywhere.
The East has always had it on lock, as far as people coming over and gathering from Wynwood to Little Havana. Little Havana's always been
Yeah.
on the scene, but um, the suburbs now, I've been seeing a lot of breweries coming together. A lot of fun places that I would have never thought. I've always had to travel across town to
Yeah.
have a good time. So I feel like the places that were not in question are going to start being in conversation. I
Yeah.
think that's important. It's not just one part of Miami that makes it great.
I agree. I think Miami is also with that growth. It's not just growing in the east, but also in the south. And there needs to be like more accessibility to the arts down south. So far, we have the Bird Road Art District, which is
That's
great
true.
and it's growing and it's changing. It might be the next Wynwood. That's my prediction. But I'm thinking like if I had all the money, I could make like a little warehouse and just start the
It would be
Wynwood,
so
but
fun.
not to
Yeah,
gentrify it, to make accessible art accessible, different forms of art. And of course some people say, oh, but there is like the South Dade, community center, which has like all these shows. But I feel like more accessible, like actual artists who
for sure. That
can
are coming out for
showcase.
the first time too,
Exactly, open
which
those
is really fun
opportunities.
because I feel like me
Yeah.
as an artist when I started, I was the most eccentric, I was the most colorful, I was the most um, just out there type of personality that I was okay to take risks. Whereas now I'm a little bit more I'm a little bit more sharp. I know what works for me. I know what I'm good at, and I know obviously I could always grow from that. But you start to like um, you start to question yourself a little bit
I
more. Like,
love
should
that.
I do this? Should I not? Whereas the early artists are always doing everything just to experiment.
Right.
And I know when I meet an artist for the first time and I like their pieces, I always get excited about it because they're
Yeah.
opening up, they're being vulnerable, um, and it's a very fun feeling to have to be vulnerable and people accept what
Right.
you're giving out to the world. It's really nice.
That's really good. I love that. I love that empowerment that you give to the artists. They need that. And I'm sure it goes back to you, like, as
For
somebody who
sure,
has all these
yeah.
years of experience. You just keep building on that. Do you have any, like, last closing remarks? Anything you want to say as far as your brand, as yourself as a creative? What other plans do you have?
So I'm gonna finish off with I just want to see the artists that are out there and the artists that are soon to be out there. I want them to just take a risk and like do something fun, do something out of the box, just to see what sticks. You never know who you are as a person until you put yourself out of your comfort zone
I agree.
and you just put yourself out there without the self doubt. Um, Funny enough, we all suffer from self doubt, where like, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Everyone's going through the same insecurities.
Exactly.
Some people project it other more than others, and some people can just pretend they don't care and see what happens.
I agree. Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I
And
appreciate
I
you.
appreciate your time. You, as a creative, you're giving back so much to the community. So appreciative. And then we'll just keep growing. And I'm so excited to see what you have in store in the future.
Thank you so much. And I want to keep on giving back, and I always want to collab. Always open to collab with anyone. So it was nice
Yeah.
to talk with you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you again.